Hey there, guys. All right, today we are back with some more History Matters, and this time we are asking the question, why didn't Russia also scramble for Africa? A short animated documentary. Now, before we dive in, and before we get into uh, my current thinking as to what the answer could be, make sure you go and check out the links in the description box below. I would love to join the Discord, follow me over at Twitch, and please do go check out the two gaming channels here on YouTube. One is for the stream VODs, which is just unedited 3 hour streams, me playing games, and then the other is edited content, yada yada yada. Now, why didn't Russia scramble for Africa? My guess is because they were too busy colonizing Siberia. And also maybe they didn't, well, no, by the 1800s, they would have been largely done with that. They just didn't want the land? Why? Oh, they probably just didn't have the money for it because around this time they would have sold Alaska to the USA around the time for the scramble for Africa because this would have been post-German unification, which would be around the time when they sold Alaska. So my guess is they didn't have the money. That's my guess. Let's see if I'm correct.
As of the year 1914, Africa was thoroughly scrambled. This was done by most of Europe's major powers, and one notable absence was the Russian Empire, who, despite having much more experience in imperialist expansion than most of its fellow European nations, ended up with not a single colony in Africa. But why? Why didn't Russia take part in the scramble for Africa? So, first of all, Russia had already tried to establish a foothold in Africa, specifically in Madagascar. Now, this was done under the rule of Peter the Great, who sent privateers there to lay claim to the island and establish some trading ports for Russia. Turns out, though, that privateers aren't great at settling, and so this attempt petered out pretty quickly. So, Russia did take part in the Berlin Conference with the other European powers to discuss the division of Africa. Their attendance wasn't to secure themselves territory, though. It was mostly to secure access to Africa for traders and missionaries, because the Russian government wasn't interested in obtaining traditional colonies for several reasons. One, Russia's imperial ambitions were better aimed at conquering and subjugating its neighbours. Anything that sat on its borders, which were much easier to reach, police and defend, and they played into Russia's strength in its army. Whereas defending a colony in Africa from, say, Britain or Germany would be much more difficult than protecting Poland or Armenia. And part of that was down to reason number 2, access to Africa. Unlike Britain, France or Italy, Russia had no quick means to access the continent. The northern route was long and the port of Arkhangelsk was frozen for half the year anyway. The Baltic Sea route meant that Russia had to pass Germany, Denmark, the United Kingdom, the other United Kingdom and
So stupid, I love it.
France, all of whom could make leaving the Baltic Sea incredibly difficult if they wanted to. The third route was via the Dardanelles, which could be blocked quite easily by the Ottomans, and even if they did get out, exiting the Mediterranean could be blocked by the British. And the fourth route meant travelling around the entire continent of Asia, which was long and expensive. So no. As such, Russia...
Which also, let's go to the map here. They would likely take the route down here, along the coast of China, and then through here. And then what do we have here? We have a British colony. So this passage here could not only be blocked by the Dutch, but also by the British. And then also the British here. And then the British are over here too. And the British are over here too.
So no. As such, Russia's grip and potentially even trade with any colonies in Africa would be tenuous at best. Reason 3 was expense. Many African colonies weren't
money! I said that. I don't know if it counts enough.
Profitable on their own and had to be part of a larger imperial network to make money for the colonizers. And Russia wasn't exactly flush with cash in the 19th century, as demonstrated by its need to sell Alaska to the United States and its struggles in modernizing its military. Now, the Russian state not wanting to colonize Africa is not the same thing as Russians not wanting to colonize Africa. One particular enthusiast was Nikolai Ashenov, who in 1888 launched a colonization effort to settle and subjugate this area. There was one problem with this plan, though. The French had already laid claim to the area. Ashenov arrived here in 1889 with a bunch of Cossacks who immediately took control of an abandoned fort here, and it was promptly called New Moscow. The plan was to secure this area and from here expand to control the entire Horn of Africa. That never happened because as soon as the French heard that the land they claimed was being occupied, they demanded answers from Russia. The Russian government denied any responsibility, and so the French were free to get rid of him. Ashenov was arrested and then sent back to Russia, where he was soon afterwards exiled to Siberia. And despite Ashenov's later offers of help to the Tsar, Russia's very brief part in the scramble for Africa was over. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and thank you.
And that was Why Russia Didn't Scramble for Africa, a short animated documentary by History Matters. This was great. Again, this is History Matters doing a great job of providing quite a bit of context and answers in such a short span of time without it feeling rushed or fast. Right? Like, this was only 3 minutes long, and we got 3 like definitive reasons as to why Russia did not scramble for Africa. And at no point did it feel like we were going too fast here. I say this every time. I don't know how they do it. I don't know how they are so good at it. Like, they're so good. They're so good at making this stuff consumable and fat and quick without it feeling quick, right? Chef's kiss, History Matters. Chef's kiss, I love you. I have nothing else to add here at the end. I hope you guys enjoyed. Remember to hit that like button and subscribe for more. And I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.